Thank you, Judith. So maybe before we allow members to intervene, maybe we are going to have the sponsor to also maybe do her part, maybe before we react, and maybe ask a question, clarification, or maybe any other opinions. So, Mheshimiwa Pasaris.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, Honorable Members. Honorable Members, I appear before you today to present and defend the rationale for the Public Order Amendment Bill 2025, a proposal born out of the deep concern of the safety of our people, the sanctity of our democratic institutions, and the need to safeguard constitutional rights in a manner that ensures public order. While Article 37 of our Constitution guarantees every Kenyan the right to assemble, demonstrate, picket, and present petitions to public authorities, it also qualifies that this right must be exercised peacefully and unarmed. The Constitution further provides in Article 24 that a right or fundamental freedom may be limited by law where the limitation is reasonable and justifiable in an open and democratic society. Among the considerations outlined is the need to ensure that the enjoyment of rights by one person does not prejudice the rights and fundamental freedoms of others. Why is this amendment necessary? We are all aware of what has unfolded in recent months. Supermarkets looted, police stations and court buildings set on fire, police officers injured, women raped amidst the chaos, public calls to invade Parliament and State House circulated widely online. These are not peaceful protests. They are coordinated attacks on public order. And while the majority may have noble intentions, it takes a few rogue actors to turn rights into ruins. The bill is a direct response to that crisis. Before I go on, I want to recognize that we have lost a lot of youth in this process. And we as a country have to do something about that. And I believe that this has reached the highest office of the land. Parliament is also well informed about what we need to do in that area. We're all calling for police reforms, and we will do that, right? So while we know that that has happened, I mean, in 2017, we buried 97 people that were killed. So I come from the ODM party, and we know what it's like to lose lives. But even then, we can't bring back those lives. And I believe that the lives that have been lost with this Gen Z uprising also cannot be brought back. But if we actually put this order in place, then we will actually stop the loss of lives of innocent Kenyans, of protesters, as we reform the police as well. What the bill proposes is to clearly define public meetings and processions, introduce designated assembly and demonstration zones gazetted in consultation with county governments, prohibit public gatherings within 100 meters of key institutions, namely Parliament, courts, protected areas under the Protected Areas Act, prescribe penalties for violations, not to criminalize protests, but to protect lives and infrastructure. The judicial precedent. Honorable members, the bill is not only constitutionally grounded, it also fulfills judicial guidance. In Gunjiri Wambugu versus Inspector General of Police and others in 2019, the High Court directed that the Inspector General and Cabinet Secretary of Interior formulate or amend laws and regulations to ensure demonstrations were peaceful, well managed, and well held in designated zones to protect public order. The bill enforces that ruling. When we look at Kenya, I really have to commend Judy for all the research that she's done and the examples that she's given across Africa. Countries around the world balance the right to protest and the need to preserve public safety. In the US, there are free speech zones at political events. In Great Britain, UK, and Scotland, buffer zones around clinics and courts, Let me explain about the buffer zones in the UK especially. We know that in the UK, safe abortions are legal, and anyone has a right to have an abortion. So what was happening is when people who were against safe abortion were beginning to actually have demonstrations around the clinics that offer this, they were doing two things wrong. One, they were blocking the entrance of people who wanted to go and procure a safe abortion. Two, they were actually also interfering with the privacy of the person who was actually going to that clinic. So they actually created a law that created a buffer zone so that the patients could go in with the privacy that they needed and also with the safety that was required. And also the nurses and doctors that were working in those clinics were also under attack. So the law was put in place to protect them. In Turkey, Turkey prohibits demonstrations within 1 kilometer of parliament. Europe, many European countries restrict protests near sensitive public institutions. This is not a suppression, it is structure. It is not silence, it is safeguard. Honourable members, let me be clear. The bill is not an attempt to muzzle dissent. It is a measure to ensure that protests are not hijacked by violence and that no Kenyan, be it a protester, a police officer, a bystander, suffers unjustly in the exercise of a right. Order is not the enemy of democracy, it is the foundation. We must protect the Republic from disorder and ensure that the exercise of one's right does not become the infringement of another's safety. I urge this committee to support the bill, not for the government, not for Parliament, but for every Kenyan who values peace, justice and the rule of law. Honourable Chair, I know that, and I've seen a lot of queries coming up on whether my bill and the bill that was once before you, brought by the Honourable Ruku, now currently the CS, you know, I felt that it's important that I show that there is a difference between the two bills, because I know that that bill did not see the order of day. So for me, it's important to clarify that while Honourable Ruku's bill sought to regulate the conduct of demonstrators, my amendment of the Public Order Amendment Bill seeks to organize the environment in which demonstrations take place. Honourable Ruku's bill focused on the individual demonstrator, their actions, their behaviors, and potential criminal liability. Proposed strict penalties, including fines, jail terms, for acts committed during protests, was seen by many as punitive and restrictive, risking criminalization of the protest itself. My amendment bill focuses on not on punishing people, but on planning the space where demonstrations will be held, where protests can take place, how close they can be to sensitive institutions, create designated zones for assembly, a preventive approach, not a punitive one. Ensures that the rights under Article 37 are exercised without prejudice to the rights and safety of others. The key distinction, Ruku's bill, regulated persons, and my bill creates structures for space. One is post-incident control, and the other is pre-incident management. This is not about limiting protests. It is about preventing safety, preserving safety and democracy through smart planning. My amendment offers a constitutional, court-supported, globally aligned solution to real challenges facing Kenya today on demonstrations. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Passaris, for that very precise presentation. In fact, that will help us even to talk about the Ruku's proposal, which actually I wanted to highlight, which didn't see the light of the day. But I think you have really brought it up. But again, maybe to add, Ruku wanted to do to kind of a whole new set of things. It was not really even an amendment. And it was an holistic or just introducing a new thing altogether. So maybe we are going to have members react, or maybe say clarification from the sponsor, and maybe later we'll retreat with our legal team and our members so that we can able to see how to enrich it or otherwise. So, members, and we start with the vice, then we go to, just in that order, Buyu, Balosi, maybe 4. Then we take the other set.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Honorable Esther, thank you for this proposed amendment to an existing law. My first question is, indeed you have indicated that you are a member of ODM, and you people are basically demonstrating every other day. Would I be...
Chairman, point of order. Chairman, I'd request the honorable member to be courteous so that we have a level-headed discussion. I don't think it's in order for the member to say that you people in ODM were demonstrating every other day. What does that mean? I think that's in bad taste, and it better use the right language so that we are all level-headed here. Thank you, Chair.
I am also entitled to my opinion. And,
your opinion is okay, but just use the right language.
You can have your opinion. So if it is your time...
Chair requests that we use the right language so that we can have a level-headed conversation, please.
We are having a level-headed conversation.
No, vice, not vice.
So you hold back also.
No,
you have the time. Okay, I stand down.
I think we can do better than this. You can take the mic meanwhile. We will just come back to the vice. Will you?
Okay, thank you, Chair. Chair, my whole point is focused around why people picket. And I think the reason when people decide to picket, they are actually expressing displeasure. And when they're expressing displeasure, they want people or the public to know that they are not happy about an issue. So my issue is, when we designate areas for picketing, for example, we decide that the area we are going to use, that anybody who wants to demonstrate should go to, no, River Road is highly populated, should go to an area that basically has no people. It would therefore mean that the group that wants to picket, and in this case, I'll use the example that has been used. For example, if it's ODM that wants to picket, it wants to show its displeasure with something and wants the public to know that it is not in favor of that particular issue. And then you send them to go and picket somewhere in a solitary area. Would you therefore be curtailing their freedom of expression to be heard? Because you've taken us to an area where probably there is not even animals and there are no people, and you're telling us that's where you can go and shout yourself hoarse. So go there, make the noise, as much noise as you want, don't disturb us, and then, so then what will we have achieved with that picketing? In other words, what I'm trying to say is you are regulating expression of people who are unhappy, so that they just listen to themselves, and curtailing the opportunity for the public to know what they're picketing about. Because the whole purpose of picketing is so that people can know what you're unhappy about, you know? But when you take us to a solitary area, for example, because that bill says the government will sit with the county governments and they'll designate those areas. Aren't you therefore minimizing my opportunity to let people know that I'm unhappy about something? Thank you, Chair, although you didn't listen.
No. Actually, I can multitask, but I'm sure she is, because the majority of questions were directed to her.
Thank you, Chair.
And I was consulting with our legal, because maybe you can add also to what members had asked. Because in your proposal, seeing that you are talking about 2 people, to be a crowd or a meeting, it's like 2 people. Is it true?
That's how the law is framed.
No, the current provision is 50. Ruku's one had a proposal of 100. That's what I was trying to. But for you, you're talking about 2 people. So if 2 of us, it's already considered to be a gathering.
That might have been a typo.
Your definition of a gathering in the proposed provision.
Yeah.
You want to have a gathering, any 2 people is considered to be a gathering.
I think, Chair, there might have been a typo error. Might have been 200. Because when we have petitions outside Parliament on the door, we have between 100 to even, at one point I had a petition brought here outside the parliamentary gate. And the petitioners, when they brought the petition, were over 200. We had one when, in fact, with Owen Bayer, we had one when they came for statelessness, and they were over 200. We've had many petitioners come and they're 200 and above, and it's structured. They tell us the number that is coming, and it's well managed.
What you need to do, just take the member's question or clarification, then you respond to all of them.
Right.
Don't mind so much what I'm trying to do with the legal.
Yes.
Because I'm just trying to let her compare.
Yes.
We'll still have a moment for the same.
Yes.
What your suggestion and proposal, what is currently provided. More so importantly, the issue of course, prohibiting members of the public 100 meters away from Parliament or protected area, vis-a-vis the Act on the issue of protected areas, vis-a-vis the provision of Article 37, where, of course, the public have a right to present a petition and memoranda. So that is what we are trying to. We'll still have the moment for the time, because what I promise you, we are trying to do this for the common good of all of us as a country. So just note your question, then you respond to all of them. Of course, I know the Vice will still come back to his. So we are going to take Balosi Kawunya, then you respond to that set.
I think, Chair, I want to make a number of comments. Number one is I want to commend the sponsor of this bill for making an effort to balance an issue which is touching on peace, justice, and rule of law. Chair, to balance these 3 issues, peace, justice, and rule of law, is not easy. But I think the member has come, and this is coming up after a very serious crisis in this country. And I think we must applaud this Honorable MP for giving us this. Chair, I want to also support this because she has come up with other jurisdictions in this world, other countries. She has mentioned the UK, she has mentioned the United States of America, Turkey, and all these countries. And you see, Chair, what we are trying to do is to bring sanity in our country, to make sure that lives and property are safe. At the same time, safeguarding on the rights of individuals in this country. It's a very difficult task. A special place designated for people to go and picket, go and make a lot of noise there.
You were also in Nigeria.
And I was in Nigeria. I was in Abuja. And what they have written here, Chair, is true. If we want this country to prosper, we must borrow from other countries. And Chair, I want to say that what happened last week in this country, we must have a cure. Maybe the Honourable Member may not give us the total cure of what will happen in future, but this is a very important amendment which we must support as peace-loving people. So me as a Member of Parliament of Sotik, I want to say what people are saying in my place. People have condemned the state of affairs which we saw last week. And they do not want to see anything like that happening in the future. Mr. Chairman, SOTIC suffered a lot during the clashes in 2007 between SOTIC and Borabo. And the people cannot accept that the rule of law must be respected. And therefore, what I have seen here is something which is going towards curing whatever is happening, and also to change to amend the law so that every right of all the Kenyans, plus the police officers, you know, even here we must talk about the police officers who also suffered during the recent problem. So, Chair, I really want to say I support the amendments. I know we may have a lot of input to improve on what she has said, but anything, Chair, which can assist us bring law and order in this country must be welcomed by all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. I think largely what Sigeya said is support, which is in order as well. So we are going to take it from Commandant Kawunya. Then we'll come back to Honorable Vice Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I want to agree that this particular bill or proposal will go a long way really defining some of the things that were not in law clearly, especially the issue of the spaces. And I want to thank the member for coming up with this. But Chair, I wanted to ask two questions to the member. There is the issue, the purpose for which a demonstration is held. Most times a demonstration is held to express to the authorities that, like, of course, the recent Gen Z movement. Really, the purpose is to express and in most cases to present a petition. Now, can you explain how, where in the bill perhaps that is taken care of, especially in the description that such a demo in certain areas should not be held within 100 meters. Now, if we can have that provided, I think this bill can go a long way so that it's known, a particular group demonstrating, presenting a petition, in these 100 meters there's a particular place defined where they can present it, or the particular leaders defined within the law who are presenting are allowed to advance to come to an office and present while the other gathering remains. Really that bit, maybe you can clarify. Number two question I wanted to ask about the fine. A fine of 100,000 in the event of whoever breaks this law. Now, how did you come about with that fine? Because in some proposals, like I think Rukus was fairly harsh, but this 100,000, what will it help to deter, or what role will it play? How did you come about with it? Thank you.
Maybe, are you ready or you respond? Just respond to that. Yeah. Just respond to the three first.
Thank you, Honourable Chair, and thank you, members. Honourable Chair, I will start with the Honourable Rosa Buyo and the question that she asked. You know, I mean, when she said River Road was highly populated, the idea of, when we look at Nairobi, we have a population of about 6 million. So there is no area in Nairobi that is not highly populated. So in any area that you want to have a demonstration, you would have impact, all right? But the thing is that the whole idea of the bill, is to protect the pillars of our democracy, all right? If they're all overrun with or burnt, we lose the very institutions that we want to uphold rights, resolve disputes, and maintain order. I remember when ODM used to have its demonstrations, right? We would want to take something. ODM members would get into the demonstration, and we would want to go to, let's say, IEBC to present a petition, right? That's a public office. Okay. So now, if we put this law in place, for instance, and IBC becomes one of these places that you can't present a petition. What happens then is you within the law, and I've seen this, we've had demonstrations, many organizations having demonstrations to bring a petition. The number is huge. But then when they come to Parliament, they know that they have to be a certain number, 50 or 100, to come to the gates of Parliament, not the whole lot of them. So half of them wait at Uhuru Park, and the ones who are bringing the petition to any ministry come. That's how we used to do it. You give the petition, because I used to be also amongst the people who demonstrate on various issues, right? So I would walk with the team, a small team that we're moving with the petition. And I think that's the kind of order we need to put in place today. Why? Because if we don't do that, what is going to happen is the population will overrun the police force. The disorder will become infiltrated with people that now we call goons. And for me, these are, we live in a society where we have all levels of people. We've also got criminals amongst us. Some are in jail, some are still out there. And we see the criminals when we have demonstrations. It is not a decent human being that storms into a supermarket and rids the supermarket of all its goods. This is an investor creating job opportunities for people. Because of a demonstration, right, that supermarket which had stock, which was purchased, which is supposed to be sold to bring a return to the investors, is left empty. Those are criminals that come into town and do that. And the police are overwhelmed. So we need to create these barricades. When I was thinking of the 100 meters, that's 0.1 kilometers, in my head I thought, really, a place like State House. Because even with us as ODM, we did all the demonstrations we did. We didn't have this drive to go to State House. We went to Uhuru Park. We did our thing in a public place. We were never the way it's happening today. The way it's happening today, and that's why I also see the Right Honorable Raila Odinga speaking against it. What's happening today is organic. It is using social media, which probably was there at our time, but not to the level that it is today, where people can be told, get out of your house, join the movement, and you're coming to join the movement, not because you believe in it, because one, you don't have a job, you have nothing else to do, you feel aggrieved, and you feel it's the government that has caused all the pain in your life, and then on top of it, you come to town because you know that once the police are kept busy and the demonstrators are kept busy, the supermarkets are going to be free fall. All the people that have shops, do you know we were in church on Sunday in Ruaraka, and I wanted to buy some lollipops for a group of children that were in the SDA church. And I sent my bodyguard, I said, can you go and get me some lollipops, because we had only 2 packets in my car. And he told me all the shops are closed. I mean, this has got to end. People have got to realize that we need to create some kind of structure.
Do we let her finish with all the 3, and then I suggest to her that she's not answered my question, or can we interject now? Okay.
You see, Honorable Rosa, your question was, how do you create that impact if you're not going to be in the center of of town, I think we would create that impact wherever we are, because the town is already, when people are gathered and have a conversation or have a message, it will be heard. The question is not to have that gathering undermine all the other institutions that are of importance to the national security of this country. Unless you want to take me directly to, because I heard when you were talking, you mentioned that, you mentioned about lightly populated areas. And I felt that, anyway, even if you decide to picket and demonstrate, and you have the entire Uhuru Highway, right? It's still the highway, but the question is, you demarcate the area before the Uhuru Highway next to Parliament, the area before the Uhuru Highway next to State House, and the area post, or even when you come to the airport, we have the same law. You have to have a certain designated area where you cannot reach as demonstrators, and they have to respect that.
Passaris?
I want to thank the Honorable Sige for supporting the bill. And then again, the same question about whether the demonstrators will have impact. When you limit, whether it will limit visibility or impact. I do not believe in the current spate that we have of demonstrations that visibility and impact will be limited. Because even I've seen people who come outside Parliament and there are 50 of them. It gets the headline news. But the thing is, right now, what is getting the headline news is all the supermarkets that are being vandalized, all the lives that are being lost, all the disorder and chaos that we're having. And I felt that if we can bring some order in where people can and cannot picket, right, in terms of distance, to safeguard our institutions, our pillars of democracy, we cannot have a situation where State House, the courts, even the police stations for that matter, right? Because when you have police stations, you have a situation where police stations are housing criminals, right? And then they also have guns. I mean, in Dagoretti North, we have guns that were stolen from a police station. So where are these guns right now? We have to be able to safeguard these institutions in terms of law, so that you know that if you come close to these institutions with your demonstrations, you are breaking the law. So the very people that ask for this have to also respect the law. And that's the law that I'm trying to have us put in place, so that we can have the demonstrations, but we also understand there are limits to where we can pass when we're demonstrating. And if you want to give, I've seen the representative of the clerk going out to the gate. They don't come in the gate to give the petition. They don't storm into Parliament to give the petition. They wait outside the gate. The member of Parliament that is working with them is called. He receives it, and we do that in an orderly manner. So the question is, we need to, with the current way that demonstrations are called for, right, there has to be responsibility taken by those who call it. People are calling demonstrations and giving public holidays and saying it's free for, let's go to State House. I think we need to have laws, because once we have laws, then we can catch the offenders. And once we catch the offenders, then people will learn to respect the law. Because right now, we don't seem to have a law. You can go anywhere, you can call to storm Parliament, you can call to storm a court, you can call to storm a police station, you can call to storm State House, you can call to storm a boarding school like State House girls. They were headed there. We need to start with protection of areas that safeguard our Constitution, and also areas that protect our most vulnerable citizens. And also the penalty of rape during demonstration, we have to also review that law. The sentencing on rape during demonstrations, because now it's become rampant. You have a demonstration and you take advantage and you rape our girls and you rape our women and you storm the supermarkets and you destroy people's businesses. Thank you.
Chair, I wanted to say on the question I raised about the object. Otherwise, there must then be a provision where the authority has to move to the point, so that spacing, because then you can be able to really restrict the mass but also meet the same requirement of the protester. It was not meant to be, I think, the way you are taking it, that this is a good law, and I think it should be encouraged. So if you are open to those kind of changes, you know.
I think just to help what Mheshimiwa Kaunyi is trying to say, because actually it is not just up to her. She had done her part. It's also up to you as a committee or as members to enrich it. Because I think what Kaunyi is trying to say, as it is, there could have been a lacuna. Because one, definitely you're talking about in the provision here, that the demonstrators should only be 100 meters away from protected area like Parliament, right? Already we have the provision of the Act of the Protected Areas. Thirdly, we have the provision of Article 37 that give a right every citizen to present petition to Parliament. So that is what I think Commandant is trying to say, that at least we have a lacuna. We need to look around that bit corner so that we can able to strike a balance and achieve still what we wanted to do. And I think it's also up to us. We can improve on the same. We can treat that gray area. And she has done her part. I think the country is at crossroad. We must take lessons, and we must have learned from what happened on the 25th, what still happened last year. So it should have been an awakening call so that we try to sanitize the space, so that as much as we cannot offend the provision of that 7, that Kenyans have got a right to demonstrate, to picket, to present petition, but it should also be done in an organized manner, that limitation of destruction of property, life, invasion of government institution and installations, protected area, we can do in a better manner, like what is happening in other developed countries and jurisdiction. I think that is what really the Member of Parliament wants us to achieve. So, so that we take the last round of question, because ultimately we'll have our time, and we still have our leader, Deputy Leader of Majority here. He will still able to have a session. We are going to take the last round, but before then, we have got some members who have joined us. We'll prefer including our senior counsel to introduce themselves. Then we are going to take the last round, starting from Wetan. Then I think Vice, we still have to go back to what you really wanted to ask. And then Kaluma. So maybe we wind up.
I thank you, Chair. My name is George Peter Kaluma. I'm MP for Mabai Town. I regret I'm coming late because
you look like really in session, I mean in court session.
I was appearing before the Court of Appeal on a matter of national importance. But I'm happy to join you. I'll have my time to raise my issues.
So I'm Peter Masara, MP Sona West.
Yeah, and our condolences, brother.
Thank you, Chair. Hussein Weitan, MP Mandara East.
From there, ask your question.
Yes.
Weitan.
Thank you, Chair. Mine is first, I think, appreciate the job done by our colleague, Honorable Basaris, because this is an idea whose time has come. It came in the right time. In fact, the issue of curtailing demonstrators to a certain position has been happening countries where they were uprising, not just these simple demonstrations. If you remember the Arab uprisings that happened, most of them removed their presidents. It was held in, if you remember, there was Tahrir Square in Egypt. You know, all of them were held in a specific area, not moving, you know, and disrupting businesses of the peaceful Kenyans. I think the best thing is to, as you said, Chair, just to enrich. But this is a very important amendment, I can see, because where we are going right now, we are not safe. No one of among us is safe. Because anytime people can come into Parliament, they can go to State House. They have already gone to, you know, police stations, you know, breaking the armories. Where are we going? If you have followed the stories, armories were broken. Yeah. And I think our 5 guns were stolen. What is next? People are already trained. You will have another force. I think it is a good idea. We need to curtail the demonstrators. We are not saying we will go steps back, you know, and cause problems to our country. But what we are saying is that we need to manage. We need to at least, you know, high-tech demonstrations where in a modern country, of course, in a modern world, we need to have demonstrations. And one thing that is sure is that people will hear. It will be covered. In fact, if people go to Urbak now, all the medias are there. They will cover it very well. Of course, your idea is Kenyans to know what you are doing. And it will be heard from the 290 constituencies. It will be heard from the 47 counties. What else are you looking for? Yours is not to break shops. I think it's a good idea. We only need to enrich. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairman.
Just a minute. So what you do, Pasar, is because we have to manage also time. We have our leader here and time. We know we have an important business on the floor. Just note so that you wrap them up and respond. We know, of course, we're still going to have more conversation and engagement. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Vice Chair, you want to go before me?
It's okay.
Okay, you can go. You can go first.
We want to keep President also. Yeah, Chair, I want to congratulate Honorable Esther Passaris for this legislative, thought. Yeah, and Honorable Chair, I wanted to confirm that this matter, there have been lots of debates on it, even over this weekend. I think the Law Society of Kenya last Friday organized an X-space kind of debate with all lawyers and very senior lawyers. It was in that engagement, Honorable Passaris, that we got to know that Article 37 is also in the constitution of several other countries. Yeah, so you look at South Africa, it is there. You look at United States, it is there. You look at India, it is there. Picketing, presentation of in terms of venue, space, time, and manner. And so I'm just confirming that there is a lot that can enrich it. But let me also indicate this, Chair, that I have a problem with our bringing this amendment under the Public Order Act. One, the Public Order Act is a law. Once you mention, people think you want to take their rights. You don't want to govern how rights are exercised. It has a bad history in our country. In all those countries I've mentioned, they have a specific law governing and limiting the enjoyment of this right and setting the parameters for it. And so I would request that when you look at them, and we could consult later on, you think of having a law. That is a law, Honorable Chair, brought under Article 24. Article 24 deals with the matter of limitation of rights and fundamental freedoms. Okay? Because when you are seeking to limit rights, and Article 25 speaks to rights which can not be limited, I can confirm that if you look at Article 25, other than those rights under Article 25, all the other human rights and fundamental freedoms, including the right under Article 37, can be limited. And so the Constitution says so, and the judgments I'll give you say then how they should be limited. But when you go to Article 24, the law says that when you are limiting rights, Chair, if you look at Article 24,
yes, thinking that correct. The public order is taking away their right.
Yes, correct, Chair. And Chair, remember, under Article 37, Honorable Esther Passaris is giving the right to assemble, the right to demonstrate, the right to picket, and the right to present petitions to authorities. That law should also define on what matters do you assemble, on what matters do you need to petition. Because, Honorable Chair, look at what we were dealing with last Wednesday, for instance. These are people who are saying we want compensation for our children, the children of Kenya who are killed. Is that a matter for petition to the relevant authorities, which in that case will be the High Court, or is a matter for demonstration? I mean, ask yourself, you saw those Kenyans crying for compensation for their lost ones. But after the demonstrations, so what? And so this law will say, when do you demonstrate? When do you petition? Because if a petition were taken to the High Court for that determination, then an actionable determination would come, which Parliament would then budget for. But you know, when you allow people to demonstrate, they are now saying Ruto should pay, as if the president has any money to pay anybody. They can't. So that law will define when do you petition, when do you demonstrate, and that law must specify when you notify the police, how you notify the police, and the conditions upon which these processes and these rights can be enjoyed, not just limiting the rights, but explaining how you go by them. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chairman. Even do picketing, or you wanted to present a petition, you have a place to stand. And so, demonstrations or picketing or whatever you call them are normally controlled. Now, in this law, what I really wanted to understand from you, what is currently happening in this country? Is it really conferring to Article 37? Or is just anarchy that the law enforcers must take the necessary action to prevent the country from slipping out of our hands? The other issue which I've been concerned with, and I think senior counsel will help us on this. Last year at the same time, when we had demonstrations in Kenya, there were demonstrations in the UK. But I like the robust way you try to explain to us why this particular law is necessary at this point in time in Kenya. Thank you, Chairman.
Aduma, I think it should be the last one, so that we give you like 5 or 6 minutes to wrap up. Because I think Aluma's one was...
Thank you, Chair. I've listened to my colleagues, and I've also looked at this proposed amendment coming in the heat of the events of the Gen Zs of last week, and which has brought a lot of emotions, Chair, from the leaders, going with the current trends. Chair, I want to say that they come from all across the divides. We have many roads leading into the CBD. If we make these amendments, are we going to enforce when these people come out in their millions? So that is why I think the first step is to ensure that we have justice, and then we instill ideal situations in this country which would look into these issues. I also quite would get what Kaluma was trying to raise when he talked about peaceably. Without dragging your minds to that, that would mean conducting demonstrations in a calm manner without interfering with people's rights. That is what is in those other countries. But I think these changes and in the Public Order Act would not actually make any achievement. We need to get back to Article 37 of the Constitution and see what we can do in that article. That is what would bring order into this country. Otherwise, I do not agree that changing the Public Order Act is going to change anything. When you see people go even to court.
The elderly, right, the persons with disability, everybody that we hold dear are in danger if this country gets into total anarchy. I agree with the Vice Chair. What's happening right now is total anarchy. And I'm just thinking that we've lost another 17 lives on the 25th. Are we going to have the same situation come 25th next year, where we lose more lives and we continue losing more lives? I believe that we need to do something to, and I mean, Honorable Kaluma here is a very, very learned legal, one policeman to to every 500 citizens. There is no way that that policeman can manage that scenario, that situation. And we're pushing them. And then I want to say the police are from Kenya. The police are Kenyans. They are our sons. They are our daughters. So whatever we need to do to create order in how we demonstrate, how we picket, where we demonstrate, where we picket, how we deliver petitions, we need to have that done. I don't want people to think that it's easy for you to just wake up in the morning and call the entire population to march into State House, to march into Parliament, to march into a court, to march into a school, a boarding school. So if I have to enhance this law or the amendment or bring another law altogether, then I stand guided by the committee, because my coming here was to let you know that we have some gaps that we need to address. And I really want to thank all the members for your contributions.
Congratulations, and hoping to see you soon. So, our members, we are having our Leader of Majority Deputy, Owen Bayer, who's it's a small piece of legislative proposal also. Wait, okay. Members, order. We can allow the members to exit in silence. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Well done. So thank you, Pole sana Mheshimiwa Owen Bayer, our Deputy Majority Leader. But I'm sure you enjoyed the session also. You can also, you can help us to enrich it. So members, for the purposes of formality, I think we all know Owen Bayer, but maybe for record purposes, we can just do a quick introduction